Where else would you want to be tonight? All right, just going to go on to our next speaker. This is a wonderful evening. This is Mike Kerby. There's Mike. Mike is the president of C308 Marketing, Inc. Over his 20-plus year career, Mike has worked at the leading edge of marketing technology with Fortune 100 companies, bright-eyed startups, and every niche in between. In 2003, he launched a digital-first agency, C308 Marketing, Inc., which continues to serve clients throughout 4 continents. Will you welcome Mike Kerby?
Hello. So I have a presentation too. There I am. Hi, I'm Mike Kerby, and I'm an entrepreneur. Starting a business didn't make me an entrepreneur. I wasn't an entrepreneur, or at least I wasn't acting like one, until 7 years into the development of my business when I was facing, on paper, a six-figure deficit between vendor bills, payroll taxes, expected revenue. My monthly burn rate at home was between $10,000 and $12,000 a month, with a vacation home in McCall, a home here in Boise, and a lot of things we just had to have. I remember one Christmas watching It's a Wonderful Life, and George Bailey, the small bank owner, he loses $8,000, which causes a run on his bank. And I remember watching him spiral emotionally out of control, and I felt like I was living that right along with him. You see, as my business grew, I found ways to spend more and more money. So after 7 years of steady growth, I found myself diminishing our cash reserves on a level that was not sustainable. And that is when I became an entrepreneur. Now, before I tell you what happened next, let me give you a little history and a little context. So 20 years ago, I was gainfully employed working at the highest level of Fortune 500 and Fortune 100 technology brands, right in the technology boom, or as we call it, a bubble. For those of you that remember the dot-com bubble, advertising and marketing spending was just a little bit outrageous. I can give you a couple examples from my experience to illustrate how bloated the technology industry had gotten. I worked for an agency that was ranked number 10 in Promo Magazine's top 100 agencies in the United States. I worked on the iOmega account. We had There we go. We had a $100,000 a month retainer plus production costs. And anyone within iOmega could sign off on a production estimate of $50,000 or less. So we would just come up with $1,000 ideas. It seemed like any idea we came up with, they would approve it. It made for some innovative work and an exciting ride. Another example was Lucent Technologies had gotten so big that their divisions were hiring marketing firms to come in and market their products to their own internal teams. So this was a fascinating account to work on because we were allowed to work with the Conference and Collaboration Division to help them spin off Avaya Communications. So I now realize how incredibly lucky I was to be able to build my career in Boise but still work at the highest level. And working with brands that had a global impact became a defining element of my career. Then in 2001, it all came crashing down. I left the larger agency to work for a boutique company, and by June of 2001, that agency dissolved. I was fortunate enough to have developed, and I was able to develop a steady consulting business, and by 2003, I decided to launch my own digital marketing company, C308 Marketing. Now, you might be wondering why I would call my agency C308 Marketing. C308 was my apartment number when I moved to Boise and I didn't have a job. So for me, C308 meant starting over. Even after the technology crash, I was incredibly lucky in starting my agency, and we quickly. The cornerstone of our business will continue to be digital first. At first, I was just playing to my strengths. Then, as my strengths became more and more sought after as technology saturated, for 7 years, I saw steady and substantial growth. And as I look back at the industry and where it was and where it is now, there are many moments in which digital has made its worth known. And fortuitously, many times where C308 has also made ourselves known. I was able to secure a contract with HP to lead their North America large format printer team, along with an internal worldwide team on the development of a portal for graphic arts. There were so many opportunities at that time because of the lack of interest from HP's internal team to be able to take on the digital components of their marketing. So I was able to launch one of HP's first blogs. I was able to direct their pay-per-click and their online media. I was able to manage a unique content partnership with Macworld, and work with other web dev agencies to plan, test, and deploy a worldwide segment on HP.com. We also developed relationships with Ogilvy PR offices throughout the state of California, and we were brought in to do a lot of their state agency work. One of the biggest challenges was when CalPERS, California's state pension plan, saw their investments lose 24%, or $67 billion in value. So we created a logo, and built a website called CalPERS Responds, which allowed us to publish myths versus facts, videos of the newly replaced leaders. CalPERS, a blog post allowed CalPERS to address issues and create more transparencies to their constituents, all of which was planned and launched within a 2-week time frame. Now, like I said, one of the things I always was incredibly proud of as our high-profile client list, and it was intoxicating. Fresh off this success and with 7 years of good luck lining our pockets, I started to make some mistakes. Here are 4 of the most egregious of them, and some hard-won, difficult-to-swallow reality pills. Business growth does not equal a raise. There are many times where I treated our business account like a personal savings account, and to the business to satisfy our personal needs. Growth is cyclical. Now, I knew we wouldn't grow, but I did nothing to plan for it. And as a business ebbs and flows and there are peaks and valleys, every business needs a rainy day fund. You can't hold on to every client forever. Now, when we were successful, I didn't worry too much about having all our eggs in one client basket or another. The problem with this was, if a client restructures and you get a whole set of new clients, guarantee that they'll see the same value that the others did. Financial health, personal financial health is important as business. Grow well beyond realistic means. And when your business needs to take a little reprieve, you have to be able to forego a bonus or two. And timing is everything. In 2008, the housing bubble burst, and by then had a vacation home in McCall, car payments, a nice home in Boise, and a personal burn rate of between $10,000 and $12,000 a month. Now, when things started to slide, I knew that I needed to make some changes, but it's incredibly difficult just to shut that off. As a business owner, and like so many others in that position, I wanted to protect my employees and my family from the volatility of owning a business. And being married, you can't just unilaterally make choices. So we were stuck with choices like sell our vacation home for 30% less than we owed, or do we try to hold on to it and hope that our circumstances recover? I wanted to provide the things that my family wanted. I wanted them to enjoy our success. But when things started to spiral, I felt like I was on my own. And much like George, I felt like everywhere I turned for relief, I hit a brick wall. At home, we were not on the same page. I had developed a defense mechanism that was protecting my identity as an entrepreneur, and I wasn't communicating very well. There were times where selling my business or getting another job was suggested, and I didn't take that as a very constructive conversation, and it didn't really address our burn rate. So there we were at an impasse with what to do. And it was at this point in time that I realized the true value of integrity at Advil. There was this defining moment. My agency was managing an incentive program for VSonic where we'd give thousands of resellers cards, and they could spend it anywhere they want. And they decided to expire a portion of the program, which gave us about $150,000 left in the C308 bank account. Now, in a perfect world, this program would have gone on forever, and we'd hoped it'd go into perpetuity. But there we were left with $150,000 in our bank account, and VSonic asked us, hey, can we get that money back? So I had a choice. The incentive industry to refund that money. It was called slippage. It was even in our contract that money be non-refundable. Moral certitude reared its head, and we knew what the right thing to do was, so we released the funds. This was one of those defining moments where we reassured one of our core values of an agency of integrity. Even though things seemed like they were falling down around me, I was incredibly energized by this. We had the chance to do the right thing or the contract thing. We could have been transparent, yet follow our contract. But it wasn't the right thing to do, and the right thing paid off. The VSonic team was incredibly loyal to us after that, and we were able to get out of the immediate risk. And for 7 years, I hustled. I worked hard, and it was difficult to make up that difference between what our expensive lifestyle had created. We were eventually able to sell off the vacation home and get our control. But ultimately, all of this had taken its toll, and my marriage ended in divorce. Much like George Bailey, it was the community that came to my aid. There was another advertising owner of an ad agency in town that referred work my way, knowing that things were tight, and others did as well. While getting divorced was maybe quite possibly the hardest thing I'd ever had to go through, it was a launching pad. And since that moment, it's felt like a cloud has been lifted, and I have balance. Now, I can't get that 7 years back, and I feel like it all could have been avoided by working or living within the means a small business can afford. All of this has made me better. All of this has made me better. I've started to act like an entrepreneur. And if you're thinking about starting a business or here are some things you can learn from my experience. Save cash. Cash is your insurance policy. You need cash for the invest in promising employees. Everyone needs a rainy day. Be human. Be kind. Treat your competitors with respect. It's just business is not a reason to treat others poorly or to undermine them. It's far more rewarding to win while others are winning than it is to win at someone else's expense. Work-life balance is not just the time you spend at work versus at home. There are many things, personal and business, conflict. And address those conflicts as they arise. You don't need to grin and bear it. Perseverance is not stuffing down fears and frustrations. Over-communicate with your spouse. There's nothing like sitting in a counseling session and having all this just pour out at once. Keep moving. For our clients, if everything knows, and our clients now know, that stalling out will have negative consequences in the effectiveness of our programs. So everyone is tasked with keeping things moving. And find a good support group. For me, it's EO. I have a great forum, which keeps me accountable, and a great chapter, which keeps me inspired. I'm still hustling, and I'm still working to bring everything back, but now I have room to breathe. And I'm able to start to replenish our savings accounts, and we have a wider global footprint than ever before with clients on 4 continents, and I live in 1 house. I started an agency in one of the most difficult economy, and I kept it through the Great Recession. Today is arguably the best time to start a company. And so if you're thinking about starting a company, don't wait, and start by acting like an entrepreneur. Thank you.